So how do you get your IT business in the AI summaries and the AI search results and the prompt responses? So if you're inside ChatGPT, how do you get your website in there? So I'm going to go through over the next 20 minutes how to do that. I've done a few things myself to my website to get it into the responses. So I'm going to show you what I've done and what's actually working. First, though, what I would suggest that you do is actually do a search in the chat for your business. Okay. So the example I've got here on the screen is ChatGPT. I need IT support. Now, ChatGPT came back and asked me, okay, what type of support you're looking for? How big is your business? And then it asked me what the location is. And then it comes back with these responses on the types of businesses that provide managed IT services in my area. So I'm in Aberdeen in Scotland. The funny thing with this ChatGPT response is that the company here that's been listed at the top, this is a company I used to work for 10 years ago. They no longer exist. They were acquired and the name changed. But the cool thing, if you do this with your own locality and typing in the search, IT support in whatever location you're in, and you find what the response is coming back. The cool thing is it actually shows you the citation here. So it tells you where it's getting the data from. So in this instance, we can see here, Dynamic Edge is being cited on Clutch. If we go through to Clutch onto the page where this listing is, the first thing I would suggest is you go onto Clutch or wherever you're being cited and actually get a listing. But you can see here, Dynamic Edge isn't actually in the top 3. It's the 4th one down. And I was scratching my head with this. Why are they coming up like first result, but they're not the first result on Clutch? And it looks to me what's happening is ChatGPT is ignoring the paid listings. It's going down further to here to see the sort of organic listings. So what you want to do is you want to go through all of these different citation sources and see where you can get a link and a citation back to your website. That's the first thing that you want to do. And it's really just a sort of baseline to see, okay, this is where you are in the search. You might be winning the search, the AI responses. In that case, you don't have anything to do. The next piece to this that I'm going to give away here is something that's called, let me bring it up on the screen, it's called Reciprocal Rank Fusion, okay? And what this is basically, there's a blogger, his name here, Tian, I can't pronounce that correctly. He reverse engineered the response page on ChatGPT. There's a blog article, and he's basically done a search for coffee makers. So he did a search on ChatGPT for coffee makers. And he went into the page's code and he found out that there's actually some math that's happening in the background. So what ChatGPT is doing, it's not just going to like Bing search and searching for that one term. It's searching for related terms as well. And that is all being fed into this math equation, basically, where you actually need to come up for multiple terms. So it's not just a case that you need to come up for IT support in your location. You need to have relevant similar terms, and you need to be ranking somewhere in the search for these as well. And the data behind this, you can see it here in this blog post. So on my slide, what I've got here is IT support location. That's obviously going to be one. Outsourced IT support, business IT support for companies, and professional IT support. They're all variations of the same thing. Question then is, okay, we need to get your website, your IT business ranking for all of these different terms. And you might be ranking like really good for one term, but you might be coming up absolutely nowhere for the other 4 terms. So how do you overcome that problem? That's where something known as topical authority comes in. And this has actually been in existence for about 10 years in the SEO industry, search engine optimization. Topical authority is when the search engines see you, your website, as the authority in the space. So to give you an example of how this actually works, I've got a Miro board here. Let me just bring it up. I thought I had it open on the screen, but obviously I don't. There we go. And the example I've got here is a standard IT business MSP website. You got your homepage, you've got your services page, which is probably linked from your homepage, your about page, your contact us page, and then your blog as well. They all get linked from your homepage. To achieve what is known as topical authority in the search, so that you're coming up for multiple search terms, you need to decide on the main topics your website is going to be about. So I would suggest you start with something like Microsoft 365 support in your location. That would be probably a really easy win. There's not that many websites that are attempting to rank for that specific term in your locality. But if you think about the services that you lead with, what are the main services that you lead with, or the ones that you really like doing? Those are the main topics that you need to focus in on. An example that I've got here with M365, what you need to do to achieve the actual topical authority for Microsoft 365 in your location, you have a separate services page for that main topic, and then you have blog articles, weekly blog articles that are a subtopic of the main topic. And this will allow you to become the subject, or your website to become the subject matter expert. So week 1, we would post out tips and tricks to do with MS Teams. Week 2, we would talk about SharePoint Copilot agents, what that is. And then maybe week 3, we would post out some Outlook tips. So and what you do with these blog articles, you publish them, but then you link them back to the main topic, okay? And then over time, what will happen, once you've been doing, say you've done like a month's worth or like a whole quarter's worth on that one topic, you will start to achieve topical authority on that main topic. What I would hint at this though, is make sure that you've got your location in there as well if you're working on a location as opposed to a niche or a niche. And if you are more niche based, make sure you're mentioning that niche in the articles. So publishing regularly, that's going to allow you to achieve topical authority and publishing all these sort of subtopics. Does that make sense, guys? What's the item on the contact? Let's have a look at here. So it's basically blog. I'll move it. This blog. So you can see here the blog, and you can see the subtopics as well associated with that blog. Cool. All right. So we have achieved topical authority. That basically allows us to get the RRF, reciprocal rank fusion. And that is one technique to get into the AI responses. The other techniques that you can stack with this are some quick wins. Measuring where you are right now. So within Google Analytics, you want to make sure that you are tracking how much traffic ChatGPT is sending to you. It is a source within Google Analytics, and you can actually tell it, you can ask it, how much traffic's happening. So you might actually already be getting some traffic, but you want to measure that baseline so that all of these other steps that you're doing are going to actually work. The second thing here is Bing Webmaster Tools and Bing Places for Business. Bing has always been one of those platforms that's pretty much been ignored, certainly in the SEO space. It's a certain type of user that uses Bing, let's be honest. But biggest AI on the planet, 700 million users. Guess which search engine it uses for all of its searches? It uses Bing. So make sure that you are listed on Bing Webmaster Tools. It's a bit like Google Search Console. It basically allows Bing to understand when you've got a new page published to your website. The other one is Bing Places for Business. That's like Google My Business. Make sure that you actually have the ownership of that listing so that you can correct it if anything's wrong with it. Then the third thing here is citations, mentions across the web. A citation is something like this website here, MSP Near Me. This is actually a site that I run, and it's basically a list of IT providers. This ranks really highly for search terms like local MSP or MSP Near Me, surprisingly. And you can get a citation in here. I will, at the end of this webinar, tell you how you can get a citation for free. But yeah, you basically go to the web and get all these types of citations, making sure your business is listed across the web. The third thing is include schema markup on your pages. There is a schema markup generator. This will generate the correct code that you can inject onto your homepage or your contact page, like your business name, your URL, and your address and stuff like that. This basically allows large language models and the search engines to understand what the page is about. If you're putting JSON and schema markup on your site, you'll find you'll have a far higher chance of ranking in the search. The fifth thing on the list here is an llm.txt file. This is basically a text file that you put on the top level of your web directory, in the same directory as robots.txt. So it's at the top level of your web directory. And what the llm.txt file is a contract between you and the large language models. You basically tell large language models what they can and what they can't do on your website. So if you've got content that you don't want the AI to be trained on, you basically say that in this contract file. So you basically state that on this contract file. And I've got an example in our group on how to actually come up with that LLM contract that you can put on your web server. And then the sixth one here that I've got is publish human written content articles. So top 5 IT providers. Now I'm going to give you an example of this because I did this today and this just blew my socks off when I found out about it. So what this is for my business. So I went to ChatGPT and I have asked, who provides MSP marketing content services? And it has come back and it has told me that IT Rockstars is number 1. That's my business. I'm quite proud of that. And then it's listed all the competitors here as well. The reason that I'm listed number 1 is because I have written an article on my website. It's basically a list of MSP marketing content providers, and it's like a review of them all. I put myself at number 1 in this article. I basically went through the pros and cons of our service, but I've also listed our competitors. So MSP Marketing Edge, he's not a competitor, he's more of a peer. I speak to Paul, and I basically listed out the price, the pros and the cons. Same with MSP Camp, and to here over there, Technology Marketing Toolkit, and the Tech Tribe. These guys I all know, they're not actually competitors. We get on very well, but Paul would have you think otherwise. But you can be doing the same thing on your IT business website. You can choose 4 of your competitors and you can write a little article like this about your competitors and putting yourself on the number 1 position. And then in the conclusion, also stating that you really should be going with IT Rockstars, publishing that to your website, but also taking the article and putting it onto places that are onto other websites of authority. So let me show you, for example, and this is a Reddit subreddit. I control the subreddit, and I took the article and I posted it into my subreddit here. I changed up some of the text. I also posted it to LinkedIn as an article. And basically what's happening is the large language model is coming across this page multiple times, and it's seeing these different sources where I'm recommending myself as the top source. And that has resulted in me being the top company here. It's sneaky. It's kind of like the Wild West. That's why I love this technique, because this is the type of stuff that I used to do when I was in SEO back in 2007. It was stuff like this, but it's not really black hat. It's kind of, there's a sort of gray area there in what you can and can't do. The main thing I would suggest for this, avoid AI written content on your website. So YouTube's already cracked down on this and it's starting to block AI generated content. Google's going to be the same. A lot of these, when you go and ask ChatGPT to write an article for you, I can tell right away when it's written by AI. There's some just dead giveaways in the content, but there are other things within the content that are like watermarks where even the AI checkers get it wrong. And these guys know when it's AI content and when it's not. We suggest that you use AI for possibly just doing the actual outline of the content, but then coming up with the actual knowledge yourself and what you've got in your head. Anyway, here's this woman, MSP Goo. This is a free group that you can join where I go into more detail on all of these tactics and more and how to get your IT business in the search. It's a community and there's a course and it's free to join, and it actually went live today. So you can check out mspgoo.com, and there's also going to be a beta, there's going to be a tool as well. She looks pretty cool, I think. But yeah, MSP Goo is the name of the tool. It's brand new. It's actually a service. So we create it as a service just now, and then it's going to be a tool further down the line. Okay. Yeah, we're going to leave it there. This was a fairly quick webinar. I'm going to sign off here then. Appreciate you coming along, and I'll see you inside mspgoo.com.